some luxury apartments are about to open in Los Angeles, and they will be occupied by the homeless. This segment is brought to you by Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. I'm down 37 pounds on the program, and I lost most of that in just 2 months. Do what I did and what so many other unDivided viewers have done. Schedule your free 15-minute consultation today at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Homeless industrial complex is insane. So remember the story we did on Governor Jay Inslee's right-of-way initiative, where it was like $1 million per person they were spending to clear them from right-of-way encampments and get them out of homelessness, like the camps along the interstate. So when it comes to the homeless industrial complex and government spending, it's just a blank check. There really is no standard. There's no thought behind how much is this worth, and how much would it be worth in like the private sector, right? How much waste or spending would the private sector tolerate? When Governor Inslee's whole right-of-way initiative thing came out and we were questioning, $1 million per person, are you really being a good steward of taxpayer funds? Remember, I went to the legislative preview and I asked some Democratic lawmakers that question earlier this year, and they were like, well, we can't really put a price on human life, and I'm not going to say whether one human is worth $1 million. And it's like, okay, now you're trying to build a straw man. You know what I'm saying? We should be able to help even more human beings with $1 million. So that's, I guarantee, going to be the argument in Los Angeles, where they have built luxury apartments at the cost of $600,000 per apartment unit that are now going to be used to house the homeless. Here's a clip from ABC 7 LA.
Known as the Weingart Tower. It's intended to help people currently without shelter on Skid Row. This will be LA's largest permanent supportive housing project. There is an entire floor of offices for caseworkers, and the list of amenities is pretty impressive. As you mentioned, there's a gym, an art room, a music room, and a computer room and library. People living here will enjoy 6 common balconies and a cafe. The $165 million project is receiving permanent financing from Proposition HHH, which voters overwhelmingly passed in 2016. The new tower is also receiving state housing funds and $56 million in state tax credits.
Okay. Gym, art room, music room, computer room, library, cafe, $600,000 per unit. $600,000 per unit. Now, I'm not saying that people who are dealing with homelessness should be moved into horrible conditions and meth-addled old hotels and stuff like that. I'm not saying that at all. This is absurd for a variety of reasons. When you look at, oh my God, where do I even start? Look at, Nicole, can you pull up, if you can find it, a couple days ago on the show, remember we had those pictures of that guy who was in the affordable housing unit, the We Heart Seattle thing. You can't, you're going to have caseworkers on site. What do you think is going to happen to these apartment units when you fill them with people who are drug addicted? You're talking about balconies. I mean, we had the picture we showed on the show, thanks Nicole, the other day, where it was like a guy in one of these, government sanctioned affordable units, and he was pooping on the floor. I mean, there was filth and trash, and he was in there doing drugs. So basically what you've paid for are $600,000 drug dens for people on Skid Row. That's insane. I mean, I'm all for transitional housing, but at $600,000 a pop, and I'm sorry, it stuck out to me in that description, balconies. I wonder how long it's going to take for people to jump off those balconies. And then the payday or the amount of money that LA County is going to have to pay up, or to push someone off the balconies. I give it 2 months before someone is murdered by being pushed off a balcony by someone who's in the throes of drug addiction. This stuff is insane. And meanwhile, Charlie Kirk, I don't agree with him on everything, but he had a really good point on this. And I think how a lot of working class Americans are feeling and why they gravitate towards someone like Donald Trump, who sort of speaks their language, or at the very least acknowledges their frustrations with feeling like everyone is getting handouts around them while they work themselves to the bone just to get by. So Charlie Kirk wrote of this: homeless in Los Angeles County get free apartments valued at $600,000 per unit, around $162 million total, all at the taxpayer expense. Gazans get a $230 million pier that doesn't work and $9 billion in aid, even though we know how much of that will be used to fund terror. Newly arrived illegals get debit cards with cash, free housing in hotels, flights to anywhere, and free legal advice to game our asylum laws. Ukrainians get their pensions paid for and $170 billion in aid and munitions. Everywhere Americans look, deadbeats, foreigners, and criminals are gaming the system, breaking the rules and ripping off taxpayers while those same taxpayers can't afford eggs, gas, or rent. America and its citizens must be put first, or eventually people will just opt out of the entire system. And I think he's spot on. Like, look, I am not the kind of person who says no help for anyone ever, never, and America just needs to be completely insulated from the world. No, I do believe that America has a place on the world stage to try to maintain order in this world of ours. And I also believe that the promise of America is the promise of a hand up, not a hand out, but a hand up. And that is who we are as a country. But it is being abused. It's being manipulated. That hand is being overplayed. And now it has turned into handouts for people who think, well, why would I do things by the books when I can do things off the books, when I can do things illegally, when I can engage in antisocial behavior, when I can engage in criminal behavior, and I'm still going to have things given to me? And meanwhile, for the rest of us, we're like, damn, we're working 40, 60, 80 hours a week, and we're just doing the math, trying to make, if you haven't, look, I'm not there anymore, I'll be honest. But I have lived paycheck to paycheck. I would say up until my last couple years at Fox 13, I lived paycheck to paycheck. And so I know the feeling very well, and I grew up in poverty. I know the feeling of like $5 in the gas tank so that you can still buy food. And having to borrow money from someone to be able to cover your rent. And so I know where a lot of Washingtonians and where a lot of Americans are right now. And I can understand the frustration of looking all around you and seeing people who aren't contributing to society in the way that you are being given so much. Well, you're not only given so little, but so much is taken from you. It's one of my I'm getting really far afield, but just as a rant, it's one of my chief frustrations with the CCA, the Climate Commitment Act. And Governor Inslee refusing to simply acknowledge what the policy has done to working class people. Like, you care so freaking little. You just spit in people's faces by lying to them about like, hey, yeah, this is going to increase gas prices significantly. I'm doing it because I think it's good for the climate, and I'll take the criticism that comes with it. No, he costs you money. He stretches your family's budget. He makes it more expensive for you to get to work, to pick up your kids from school, makes it more expensive to buy groceries. And then he has the audacity to turn around and say, no, that's not happening. That's not happening. Like, this isn't doing that. It's just greed from the gas companies. How dare you? That's why one of the reasons I'm so disgusted with him and why I fully support the repeal of the CCA. So this is ridiculous. $600,000 a month units. I bet there's a lot of working class families in Los Angeles, 2-income households with kids who are scraping by but doing everything above board, who would love to live in one of those apartments with a gym, an art room, a music room, a computer room, library, and a cafe. Would love to live in one of those $600,000 apartments in Los Angeles. Shame on the people who believe that this is the American way.